Marco was working hard for another company and putting in night and weekend hours doing plumbing on his own. Ultimately, Marco decided it was time to go full-time with his own company.
My first call was at 6 a.m. I wouldn't come home till about 12 o'clock midnight. And this was Monday through Sunday.
Now, 5 years later, Marco has 50 employees and $15 million in annual revenue. Listen in. Marco, welcome to the podcast today. You guys have a lot going on out in California, so I think this is going to be a good one. The first thing I wanted to bring up is, can you just give us a little bit of background? I think you've been in business in that area around like 15-ish years.
You know what, Jeff? We've actually been in business for, I've been a plumber for about 15 years, but we've been in business for 5 years, going on 6.
So did you start this company?
I did. Me and my wife started it back in 2018.
2018, were you kind of scared of the timing right around then?
You know what? We were, because I don't think COVID really happened till about 2020.
Yeah.
But you know, it was rough. I used to work for a few companies here in the Bay Area, and my wife's like, Marco, you're getting old, man. You gotta go try your own. You gotta start your own business. And I think she's a big part of our success here. She pushed me out to start my own business.
So 2018 was actually 7 years ago, because you're like me, time flies when you're having fun.
So 2018, I wasn't fully on board. We were working on weekends, and it wasn't until 2020 till I went full on board.
So when you say went full on board, you were kind of a one-man shop, just trying to get a feel for, hey, can we make this into a business, or am I just going to be doing all this work myself? Like, is that what the first 18 to 20 looked like?
That's exactly right. So 2018, I had opened up the LLC, but it wasn't a full-time gig for me. I was working for another company still at the time.
So you were side hustling plumbing and doing plumbing during the day.
That's exactly right.
Well, you know what? That's the only way to get ahead sometimes. I'm doing the same thing in a different little business right now. So 2018, 2019, 2020, you're side hustling, doing some work to try and figure out if you can break out on your own and do this. You realize that there's enough work there. Like, what makes you make the shift to go from side hustle to full on, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question, Jeff. So I noticed it right about maybe 7-8 months into it, where it's like we were booking out, like right after work. My shift in my previous company used to end at about 4:30. So after 4:30, 5 o'clock till about 9 o'clock p.m., I was running calls on my own with my own business. Saturdays and Sundays, me and my wife were running calls. Kids weren't at school, and our daughter was taking care of the kids. But it wasn't until about 8-9 months where I'm like, holy crap, I'm booking out Monday through Friday after work, and Saturday and Sunday, I'm like, I think we can go on our own. I think my wife's like, I think you're right. So
besides just there being enough work, there has to be in your head other obstacles, capital, equipment. Even if it's just you, I'm sure, you're running around, you got to have some type of service van. You've got to have all your own equipment at this point. Unless at that point you were still using, borrowing, the company you worked for, but there had to be some capital and other challenges.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wasn't borrowing the van I worked for, right? The company. So believe it or not, I used my mom's credit. We bought a van on her credit, and my mom let me use a $10,000 credit card. So we bought some drain cleaning equipment, a camera, and a locator with that $10,000 camera. With that $10,000 credit card. So there was some investment up front we had to make to go into business.
Just so our audience knows, in my opinion, you guys have to be in the best location in California, because you're smack dab in the middle between San Francisco and San Jose is, I think, the best way to describe it. And your population base there is, number one, fantastic. Tons of people. Number two, you're in a pretty well-to-do area. You're kind of in Palo Alto, Cupertino. Is that correct?
That is, yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. So we're right in the middle, what we call, we're in the peninsula, right? 20 minutes away from San Francisco, 20 minutes away from San Jose. So we service up to South San Francisco and all the way to San Jose and around Milpitas area. So
even when you were all by yourself, were you still running that big of an area?
No. When it was a one-man shop, we were running about a 3-mile radius.
So you and your wife are doing this. It's 2020. You got a $10,000 line of credit from your mom. You buy, it sounds like primarily drain cleaning equipment. Are you more drain focused than plumbing focused, or what's the split there?
You know what? We're 70-30. We're 70 drains, 30 plumbing. And we've always been like that since day one. But as you know, drains are that's where the money's at. It's our bread and butter. And I could probably relate to many other plumbers out there, right? That's where the money is, the drains.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many plumbers are not into drain cleaning. In fact, most of them I talk to, like, well, we have a camera, we have a small sewer machine, and I'm going to get to like how deep into drain cleaning you've gotten, because in my opinion, you're doing everything right. So it's going to be fun to talk about. But in 2020, you've just got basic drain cleaning equipment. You're on a line of credit. How long does it take you to pay off that line of credit, start to build the business so it's not just a job for you and your wife, and it's actually turning into a business? What is that time frame?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I remember it took me probably about 90 days to finish paying off that credit card. Obviously, the loan on the van still continued for, I think we just finished it last year.
Sure.
on
This to be
van.
expected, though.
Yeah, for sure. But the credit card that was, I think it was like 90 days. We paid it in full. And we had a lot of jobs coming, right? A lot of work was coming. My wife was advertising our business on Nextdoor. We were doing Yelp. We weren't doing Google yet, but we were doing Yelp. And we started making a little bit of money to where I was spending like $300 a month on Yelp to start getting more leads.
Which is kind of a pittance at that point. You've probably learned, you're just kind of throwing a little bit of money at it.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, it took about, I would say, as I can recall, it was about 90 days until I finished paying that credit card.
So you're growing to the point after just a few months that, did you already think you needed to hire people or no?
Not really. It took about another maybe 6 to 7 months until I bought another vehicle. That one I financed it myself. And it was a utility body, which we still have. Utility body Silverado. And we hired a person at that point, 6 months, 7 months into the gig.
Within year one, you were able to, number one, establish your own business line of credit, obviously somewhere, or get a loan at the very least for even if it's just a truck, and hire your first employee, all within year one.
Yes, sir.
That had to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I feel great.
Were you still doing field work too? I assume yes.
100%. I wouldn't stop. I'd come home. So I wouldn't start my first call. My first call was at 6 a.m. I wouldn't come home till about 12 o'clock midnight. And this was Monday through Sunday.
Is your wife have a full-time job, or is she managing the handy plumbing full-time at that point?
At that point, she was part-time with me. She was doing just weekends because we had the kids. She had to take care of the kids. We had three small kids, which they're bigger now. But
the reason I ask is because who's handling phone calls and billing? I mean, are you handling all of that? Okay.
I was doing all of it, man. I was handling permits, dispatching, setting appointments, going to the job, selling the job, doing the job.
At Service Titan, we know running a contracting business is hard work. With our all-in-one solution for the trades, managing your business needs from scheduling to invoicing is easier than ever. Learn how Service Titan gives you the tools to keep your business running smoothly. visit ServiceTitan.com. Once again, that's ServiceTitan.com.
Is that something that kind of almost holds you back even in the beginning when, even though you have to wear that hat, does it hold you back as far as customer service because you can't do the work and answer the phone or could you?
You know what, Jeff? It's very hard. It's very hard. And I know guys that have tried it and they just can't. It's a hard job to do all of it. And in my previous companies, I ran the whole company. I ran 40 guys, right? From dispatching to just a lot of multitasking. I had the experience to do it. So for me, it was pretty easy to do. But it's a hard job to do, obviously. But yeah, it wasn't easy. I did it all.
Let's keep going down the timeline here. You hire a guy within year one. What does the timeline look like before you hire your second guy and your third guy? And because I think right now, do you have roughly 10, 12 employees?
We have 50 employees. 50? Yeah.
50. Okay. Well, the picture on your website is way outdated then.
Yeah.
So you've got 50 employees 5 years after you essentially start up. What
Correct.
is that time frame?
So year one, we had the one employee, Guillermo, I will never forget his name. Super cool dude. And we finished the year. I think we did like $200,000, right, in 1 year. It was phenomenal. We're like, hell yes, we did it. Year two, we bought our third van. This was a high roof Nissan. Me and my wife drove all the way to Ontario, California, down south, to pick up this van. And she drove the car back. I drove the van back. We took it to the wrap. I got a nice wrap with our company logo.
Can I actually pause you there for a second?
Yeah.
Because you have a good logo and a good brand. Were you always branded the way you are now, right from the get-go?
Yes.
So immediately you recognized the necessity of a professional branded vehicle website. Like that was immediate?
Not the website, but the van, the branding on the van. Yes, absolutely. At the time, there was one other company here in the Bay Area that had the full wrap. And I'm like, this guy is, he's doing very well. He's got all his vans wrapped and it stands out. It's like branding is everything for a business, right? So I'm
especially in the service industry, I feel it's funny. You just said you thought that guy was successful because his van was wrapped. I always have that exact same, whether true or false, a full van wrap makes you think the guy's got it together.
I agree 100%. And the guy's still very successful now, right? He's a very good friend of mine now. At the time, I didn't know him. Now he's a very good friend of mine. But that's what it is. You have a van wrapped, it catches people's attention. Right?
So you were dropping a couple grand just to get your van wrapped early on, probably when you felt like you couldn't even afford it.
It was $2,800. So the first van that I got wrapped was mine, of course. King of Wraps down in San Jose. And he like financed me. He's like, dude, we'll get it wrapped. Pay me when you got the money, right? And I'm like, dude, for sure. And then from there, it was just, I had a little bit of money, right? We were paying him off too.
King of Wraps knew that if you were going to be a successful plumber, there was going to be a lot more vans coming his way. That's why he did you solid.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. The guy's awesome.
So I got you off track there because I thought it was really interesting that you already recognized immediately that you had to have proper marketing, proper branding. So you grab your van, you and your wife are driving it back. It's still just a couple of guys, to go from a couple of guys to now 50, that growth had to be ridiculous. And that's really hard to manage as a business owner, even finding the right people, the billing, all the aspects of it. So what, when you think back to just, this was all recent, What were your challenges there? What were the biggest challenges?
Biggest challenges were earning people's trust, whether it was an employee or whether it was a customer, right? I was just trying to get in front of somebody's door, and I wanted to be the guy knocking on your door, like, hey, give me a chance. So yeah, it was, the challenges were having people open the doors on us and be able to trust us with their homes and their families, right? But from day one, I knew that was going to be my biggest challenge. How do I win people's hearts, right? And till this day, I'm a strong believer in having good culture in my business, right? It's all about the culture. It's all about treating people fairly and being treated, or treating, I should say, treating people the way I would want to be treated, right? When I hire anything, when I hire a guy to come clean my truck, or the cleaning lady, right, that comes clean our shop, it's like we treat them equally with respect. And I think that was a big part of our success. And dude, I got tons of people that want to work here. I wish I could take them all, but
hey, that's a good problem to have. And I can tell you, you're the first person I've ever interviewed that's ever said that. One of the biggest challenges a lot of people have is finding good staff. Again, you're in a metropolitan area where there's a lot of people, and maybe that helps. But regardless, you're doing something right if you got people knocking on your door who want to come work for you. So hats off.
Yeah, no, for sure, Jeff. We, like I said, we have a lot of people that come in, and this is daily, man. They drop off 2-3 applications. But we can only take so much, right? I wish I could take all these guys.
Well, so what does that look like? I don't want to say what's holding you back, because there's clearly nothing holding you back, but is there still room to grow and you're just trying to manage what you have? Or do you feel like you've reached the ceiling at this point?
That's a very good question. I had this conversation with a friend last night. He was just like, dude, there's just like, you're just exploding. Like, when are you stopping? Do you feel like you hit a plateau? And I'm like, honestly, I haven't felt that. I mean, 5 years into this, last year we did $10.5 million. The way we're tracking now, we should hit about maybe $15 million this year. Obviously explosive growth, right? But very responsible as well, right? I feel like if I could, honestly, I feel like I could take this business to 30 million. But I have to slow it down. I have to have all my foundations in place before I can continue building and building and building, right? So anyways, to answer your question, I don't think I've plateaued just yet. There's a lot of room to grow still here within Handy.
Well, I think you answered the question based on, and wisely, you have to have your foundations in place. And if you've got a loose foundation, it's all going to crumble. So it's probably smart growth if you realize that that's what you need to be doing. You had done, 70-30, you got drain cleaning. One of the things that stuck out to me is you guys have, I don't know if have you always done relining and rehab, or is that newish?
That's newish. And just to be honest with you, and lining was not my thing. Like, I didn't like it at all. I was actually fixing a lot of lining jobs that other contractors screwed up. And I was introduced to lining through a friend, Chris, with Hall's Plumbing down in the Sacramento area. Met him at the Wet Show, actually. This was last year. This is something recent. I'll be at the Wet Show in a few days now. I think it's on. Yeah,
it's next week. Well, it's Monday, I think.
Yeah, it's Monday. So I'll be down there. But yeah, I wasn't always I didn't know anything about lining. I just knew I hated it. Because
it was a problem for you in your own business, meaning you were, like you said, you were coming across bad lining jobs.
Exactly. I was coming across bad lining jobs where contractors weren't mixing the resins correctly, right? So when they're shooting these liners down the sewer drain, they would collapse, right? They weren't curing properly. So then I'd have homeowners call me like, hey, the way we can repair this. They're like, absolutely not. We can't repair a collapsed liner. So we were out there replacing a lot of lines via open trench that were collapsed. So that was one of the things where I'm like, yeah, this doesn't work for me. I'm not gonna ever get into it. It's not my thing.
So you went to the wet show and obviously saw some technology that you felt, wasn't going to be the same, or so what is?
Well, when I met Chris, he was actually staying at the same hotel I was. He was at the bar. He was having snacks and a drink. I don't drink, but anyways, we were having a conversation. He's like, dude, do you do lining? I'm like, absolutely not. I hate it. He's like, well, get that out of your head because you're going to start lining. He's like, come check out the show tomorrow that Permaliner's got. And sure enough, went to it, I believe it was like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock when they were doing their demo. And it was on the LR3 from Permaliner. So looked at the machine, looked at the way they were lining, the spot repairs. I'm like, okay, well, I don't got to mix anything. The liner already comes impregnated with all the resins. So, I mean, it's almost like dummy proof.
Right.
I got to try really hard to mess this up. So I said, you know what the hell? And this comes from the guy that hated lining, right?
This was 2 years ago?
This was last year.
Oh, so just exactly a year ago, last year's wet show.
Exactly a year ago. I started with the LR3. And
just over a year. Last year's wet show was in January, so you've been doing this just a year.
Correct. Exactly.
Yep.
And we bought the machine, right? We bought the machine. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, worst that can happen is not going to work, and it's just going to be sitting in a corner somewhere. That's the worst that can happen. I get stuck paying a bill. But believe it or not, the machine paid itself off within a month.
How did you train a guy up on that?
Training, we flew to Anaheim. We flew to Anaheim to their facilities. They trained us in house, and it was great, man. Great people down there.
So you had one quote unquote trained up person to do relining a year ago. Do you still have one person, or has it grown?
Oh, it's grown. Then we made a second trip. This was about maybe 3 months ago, and we got into the bigger stuff. We got the LRI, which is the inversion liner. But it's grown. We got a team of 3 guys that do lining now.
So percentage wise, do you know what lining represents for the business now? So you were like a 70-30, we'll call it plumbing, drain cleaning. Is lining now big enough to represent a portion of the pie?
Absolutely. We line every day. So we used to do a lot of pipe bursting, the trenchless pipe bursting method, old traditional trenchless. So those machines, we use them, but not as much as the lining. Nobody wants destruction at their home, right? Nobody wants to dig holes, especially when you have a house that's on a slab, right?
Right.
Like, no, man, you're not digging inside my house. So that's where this lining tool comes in, where it's like 0 to none dig sometimes, where we're shooting liners down a clean out, and we're lining the whole inside of a house,
right,
without having to jackhammer somebody's bathroom or somebody's hardwood floor.
Well, to go back a little ways, originally you had mentioned the obstacle to growing the business was gaining your customers' trust, so to speak. You were spending $300 on Nextdoor, Yelp, not a huge advertising budget. At what point do you start to grow into a company where you've got that trust, and now you're looking at, okay, how do we expand growth into this huge area we're in?
Of course. So very good question, Jeff. Obviously we still advertise, right? We're in a very competitive area. So we still do a lot of advertising. Yelp, Google, Bing, Yahoo Nextdoor. We do a lot of mailers, you know, the old traditional mailers that you mail out. I mean,
So you're across the board, you're using all of those electronic. So you feel like you need to be on all of those places because you just don't know how people are going to find you. Because that's a first, most of the people I've talked to don't say that. They're kind of Google and that's it.
Yeah, for me, I don't like to have all my eggs in one basket, right? I look at ads like the stock market, right? That's the way.
Diversification.
That's the way I look at ads. I can't have all my money tied up to one stock. It's got to be spread out.
So what type of digital advertising budget do you have per month or per year, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, no, right now we're doing about $60,000 a month.
In just digital?
Just digital.
And then you also said you do old school postcard mailers, huh?
We do. We're sending now about 20,000 mailers a week.
Wow. Do you work with a third party on that, or is that something you're doing in-house?
So we do it in-house. Actually, let me take that back, Jeff. The printing is through a third party.
Sure.
The mailers, us sending them out, is in-house. We do it in-house.
Is that blind, or are you pulling some type of list based on like a requirement to have an inspection done, or are you just blind mailing those to neighborhoods?
We do a little bit of both. So we'll blind through EDDM, right? We'll pick specific targets and start sending these things out, or we can pull a list off of Service Titan, our CRM we use here.
You're using Service Titan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we target our existing customers, which I think we got about 25,000 as of now. But yeah, we pick the routes. We get to choose the routes that these mailers are going to.
So you said you have 25,000 existing customers. Do you have contracted? Well, actually, here's a question we didn't even. What are you residential versus commercial?
99.9 residential.
And then is there any contract work there where you come back to do like some type of maintenance cleaning, or not really?
You know what? We just started selling memberships. So that gets us to homes a second, a third, a fourth time. So our memberships, we sell them for $400 a month. I mean, a year, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That entails it's one drain cleaning, a sewer camera inspection, whether it's a tank or a tankless flush, priority scheduling, and 10% off any future work.
And that's new? You guys just started doing that?
We just rolled that out about maybe a month ago or a month and a half ago. But we've sold about maybe 30 memberships.
Do you view that as a success, I would think?
I would say it is, because I'm buying a customer for a whole year.
I agree. Yeah, you're buying a relationship, a long-term relationship.
Sure.
So part of like, if you're doing like a maintenance contract on a subscription, or you're recognizing certain areas for a mailer, are there different areas in that whole San Francisco, San Jose area that you recognize have older and more deteriorated infrastructure that are easier to pinpoint that way, or not really?
For sure. There's certain locations throughout the Bay Area where our marketing lady here, gal, Yuna, she'll pull information, because it's all public information, right? Of specific homes that are like on slab,
Mm-hmm.
don't have a crawl space, and we'll start hitting these areas with all these mailers, right? Like, hey, we do lining. We're actually doing a job in your neighborhood. Give us a call. if you're having the same similar issues.
Do you have a full-blown sales person or staff as well, or do you just have a designated marketing person at this point?
So in terms of sales, can you?
I guess I was wondering, like, this is going to sound not the way I want it to sound, but do you wait for the phone to ring, or do you also have people calling? You're just waiting for the phone to ring, and when people are answering, you're just taking it down and sending somebody out.
That is correct.
Yeah. So you're marketing and the sales are incoming, not outbound.
Of course.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. We will make outbound calls on existing estimates that we just haven't closed, right? So I have a team member, that's his job all day long, 40 hours a week, just making calls on jobs that we haven't closed.
So you've been doing this now for only 5 years. You look relatively young to me. You mentioned you had a few kids. Where do you see this business 10, 15 years from now?
Oh, good question. 10, 15 years from now, where I want to be is I want to be all over California. I want to get into the Arizona market and the Vegas market, Las Vegas.
That's a lot of growth. So you, in other words, I guess where I was going with this, you're hoping that there's a succession plan here versus a sales plan. In other words, you don't want to sell out. You're hoping that this thing can go in perpetuity.
Exactly.
And you're growing it for that. We talked about foundation. So, I mean, that's got to be pretty exciting for you. How old are your kids?
So I have Angela. She's my stepdaughter. She's 22. And then I have Damien. Angela's our general manager here. And then we have Damien. He's 18 years old. Actually, I'm lying. He's 19. He's a service tech here. And
so they are involved already.
Oh yeah, full time.
Is that hard?
No. I don't know. Maybe we got to ask them.
Well, is there a layer between you and them? You know, is nepotism a thing? You know, is that, well, that's their dad, so they're going to get the easy job, or?
Not really, right? And because this is what I have a rule, and I have family that works here. I have a nephew that works here as well. Obviously my wife. But the rule is between 8 and 4:30, I'm not your dad, I'm your boss. And that's the way it is, right? That same thing with my nephew. Hey, I'm not your uncle, I'm your boss. You're the employee, and you're here to do a job. And I'm here to help you and assist you with whatever you need. So I think they respect that very much, as well as Angela, Damien, my wife, and Raphael, our nephew here.
So between, let's just call it 9 to 5, you're the boss. Do you also kind of play the same rule when you go home, don't talk about work?
It's very hard not to.
It sure is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm in a similar situation.
It's very hard not to. And actually, Angela, she was the one that was like, man, when are we going to stop talking about work? Like, we're at home now. Now it's the other way around. She runs our whole business. So now it's the other way around. We're like, dude, we're having dinner. Let's not talk about work. And she's the one talking about work. She's like, but I have this problem. How do I fix it? But it's very interesting the way things have played out.
Well, you had said that, you know, you're growing by leaps and bounds. You're obviously extremely successful at this point. And you had basically said, well, I'm never going to get into relining. And now you're relining. You know, you're successfully drain cleaning. You're doing some plumbing work. What's the next thing? Or is that why you're going to the wet show and places like that? What's the next big thing? Or are you just going to keep honing in on what you're doing now?
You know what, Jeff? So we just got our A license, our engineering license. The next big thing I want to get into would be doing a lot more public works related jobs.
Municipal type work?
Yeah. So that's the next and biggest thing I want to get into. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of money in that as well. And there's a lot of guys that are shying away from it. So that's what I'm looking to get into.
Well, you definitely have everything going on, and I'm sure you're probably busy this week because you're heading to the wet show. So we appreciate your time, and we look forward to maybe meeting you in person someday at the wet show.
Absolutely. Are you guys going down?
There's a bunch of people from the office here going down, but I will not be down there. Next year, we're talking about maybe doing live podcasts from the wet show. So maybe that can be our chance to catch up.
That'd be beautiful. I love that.
Thanks for your time, Marco. Appreciate it.
You got it, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Learn more about Marco and Handy Plumbing at handyplumbingman.com. Please be sure to like and subscribe to hear more great content from successful plumbing and drain cleaning contractors.